Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness is one of the hardest games in the Pokemon franchise. I mean, it's no Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, but I've only played those games once. So let's make it even harder by drowning out the competition with the best type, the Water type. Oh my god! So we start off the adventure, naming ourselves Demix, and bang out the beginning of the game by finding Jovi at Dr. Kaminko's lab, witnessing Cypher brutally murder the poor saps outside the laboratory, and then snag a cute little Teddy Ursa that we can't even use. With existential dread and survivor's guilt on our conscience, we head off to Gadeon Port to pick up a machine part for the purification chamber. While we're here, we can actually speak to the navigator from the beginning of the game, and he hands us a water stone, allowing us to finally begin the run by evolving our Eevee into Vaporeon. Whoa, man, calm down. It's a bunch of pixels and polygons. Please, this is a kid's game. Honestly, after we get our starter, there's a bit of downtime before we get our second teammate. So let me have Peter Griffin tell you everything we did in a quarter of a second. Thanks, man. I appreciate you. Upon arriving at the Cypher lab, we battle Blue Six to snag our next teammate, a Shadow Spheal. Okay, we snag our next teammate, a Shadow Spheal, on the next try, immediately purifying it as per the rules of the challenge. It's finally good to have a second teammate. Since we're incorporating a level cap into this challenge, we're already getting dangerously close to it, so I'm gonna try and avoid as many trainers as I can, but I don't really know who spawns where. During our time scavenging the lab, we finally come across a third team member, a Shadow Carvanha. Okay, it seems like this is going to be some kind of trend. On our second try, oh god, I was about to crash out there. Now that we have Carvanha, I'm genuinely very concerned about this level cap. Spheal is literally just like a single battle away from going over the level cap, and there are at least 2 more required fights before we can actually battle Lavrina. Like, just look at the end of this battle against Naps before we save Professor Crane. He had 4 Pokemon, and each of them were in the late teens. When we defeated him on our second attempt, Vaporeon just evaded growing to level 21 by just 10 points. Thankfully, we do have 3 team members that we can use against Lavrina, but she does have a few grass type moves at her disposal, as well as her Shadow Delcatty. But there is going to be something that we can take advantage of in this battle. Lavrina starts off with Beautifly and a flopping pile of fecal matter, putting us in a great spot. Love Disc can barely hurt us, so we were able to focus on her Beautifly and Roselia with Aurora Beams and Bites. So we evaded getting hit by moves like Mega Drain. Delcatty did some solid damage to us, but nobody got taken out, leaving us to defeat Love Disc and win the battle. That battle wasn't too bad, but oh boy, we could have been in a really bad spot if Vaporeon and Spheal grew to level 21 prior to this. After bringing Professor Claw... Wait, what? Claw? Why did I write that in the script? After bringing Professor Crane back to the lab, we're given our next objective to go to Pyrite Town to listen to some smooth jazz. Okay, we need to go bring the data ROM to ONBS. We're then sent on a little trip to meet Duking and discover the 3 Poké spots available in the game. But upon entering the cave spot, we have a battle with Mirror B, who actually took down a majority of the team thanks to his Lombre having Mega Drain and Swift Swim. We really don't have much for his team, so subsequent battles are going to be very difficult. With the Poké spots now discovered, we actually have 2 new team members that we can add to the squad. Problem is, Surskit's terrible, so don't expect me to get that, and Wooper is also one of the rarest Pokemon to find in this game. So we're going to be running around for a while, especially since sometimes a Munchlax will come in and eat your Pokesnacks. So after we find Wooper, Cypher decided to take over the ONBS headquarters to steal back that data ROM we got after defeating Lavrina. So I guess it's up to us to stop all of them. Swampert? In a picture frame? The absolute disrespect. I want to take you away from all this. So this part of the game was actually pretty tricky, only because I'm trying to level up Carvanha and Wooper to get them somewhere close to the rest of the team. Problem is, their damage output and their bulk is just, it's awful. Upon getting to the roof, we have a run-in with Commander Exalt, and I thought I was gonna be clever by getting a Wooper because I knew that he had a Raichu on his team, but he absolutely floored us. He started off with Loudred and Girafarig, but I totally forgot that his Girafarig had Shockwave, which took out Carvanha so quick. Once his Girafarig went down, we were able to take down the Shadow Mawile, but his Raichu and Loudred practically cleaned everything else up. Now this seems like a roadblock, right? You'd expect me to have to go back and train and all that and try to come up with some clever strategy to win. But no, we're then told to go to Fennec City to warn the mayor of Team Cypher, but upon arriving, we're redirected to Relgam Tower to gamble our life savings away. So I did a little battle bingo and... Mudkip! Oh my god, my child, I have missed you so much. Let me have him, please. Yeah, sorry, I got a little carried away there. We then learn that Cypher has taken over Fennec, so by distracting a grunt with the latest Sabrina Carpenter single, we begin to work our way into the Fennec Coliseum to take on Snaddle. Clearing out Fennec wasn't too difficult, although Carvana was getting knocked out left and right, making it difficult to keep it on par with the rest of the team. So I guess you can say that its defenses are like a wet sheet of paper.
Stop it.
Before we fight Snaddle, there is actually one more grunt that we need to battle, and he actually has our next team member, which is a Shadow Seal. Unfortunately, our Pokemon were pretty badly wounded from that battle, and we're just thrown right into the Snaddle battle without a chance to heal. He tries to show us up by leading with his own Quagsire and a Lantern, so I decided to focus down the Lantern. But little did I know that this would jeopardize the whole battle. After Lantern was taken out, he sends out his Shadow Lunatone, who sets up the Shadow Sky. But then he Shadow died.
Morbid, I know.
By this point, my team was slowed down substantially thanks to Quagsire's Rock Tombs, so Cast Form was outspeeding everybody, leading to some pretty big damage with Weather Ball, which does actually get a power boost thanks to Shadow Sky. By this point, I decided to finally take down his Quagsire, who was pretty low thanks to the weather. Finally was his Metang, and by this point, I was just not looking good. We were so slowed down thanks to Quagsire, our health was low, Rumham floating away, just to realize this thing has Thunder Punch? Due to Vaporeon being the absolute tank that it is, I was actually able to take quite a few of these comfortably until we got paralyzed. This was pretty much a death sentence for us, seeing as Vaporeon was the last man standing and was already low on health as is. But by praying to my Lord and Savior, Lord Dome, yeah, that's right, I'm one of those sick freaks who thinks Kabuto is cooler, we managed somehow to break through paralysis and finish off Metang with a quick attack. That was essential because we would have not outsped otherwise. We walked out of that fight with only Vaporeon, paralyzed and at 2 HP. Now granted, I think the real challenge of this fight was being thrown straight into it without a chance to heal. When we go back and fight Snaddle again, we're not going to have as much of an issue. Alright, so I know that in most casual playthroughs, Chobin's not that difficult of a trainer. Your first battle with him literally has a Sunkern, and now at this point he's got a Gyarados and a Sunkern. But his Gyarados was doing tons of damage due to Thrash, so we had a few of our team members get knocked out. It's not until the second time you beat him that he becomes intimidating. Somehow, just minutes after beating him, he decides to go into a machine that allows him to get 2 new Pokemon and evolve his Sunkern with Sun strategies.
Oh, joy!
Since we're really weak to grass types, I guess you can say that I made some mistakes in not prioritizing the Gyarados, but Chobin's Sunflora not only set up the Sunny Day, but it also has Razor Leaf. And if you've never played a double battle before, first off, what's wrong with you? Some moves can hit both of the opposing Pokemon, but Razor Leaf just happens to be one of those moves. And his Tropius knows it too. With Chlorophyll active, Chobin outsped just about everything on my team. After Sunflora went down, Hoppip went down to an Icy Wind, but Tropius did a number to just about everything else. We made it through with just Vaporeon and Quagsire, but I knew that this was going to be a tough battle. I don't think we need to fight him again to progress the story, but if we do, I'm sunk. Upon arriving at the SS Libra, we encounter Gonzap and Team Snag'em, who actually take away our Snag machine. So now we need to go and get it back, I guess. Biden? What are you doing here? I guess I didn't expect you to resort to crime in your retirement. After encountering him, firstly at Gateon Port, we finally have a chance to battle Zook, and he decimated me. His Shadow Zangoose does so much damage, and not to mention his Doduo slowed down Vaporeon with Tri-Attack. Thankfully, this is again another one of those battles we don't need to win to progress the story, but we will need to battle him again in the near future. Carvana isn't doing too well right now, but I know that once it evolves into Sharpedo, we're going to have some insane firepower. As we continue our journey, we have our last required Mirror Bee fight outside the outskirts stand. This battle was fine, it was just tedious. His Lombre kept healing themselves with Mega Drain, and we have no bug or flying coverage. I mean, sure, we could use Surskit, but I don't think any of you out there watching this video are die-hard Surskit fans. As we finish him off, we decide to say goodbye to the best music in the game, unless we decide to go and get the Shadow Dragonite, which I will not be doing. Thankfully, nobody at the Snag'em hideout posed too much of a threat, threat, but I did make sure to pick up TM29 for later. This is going to be essential for one specific Pokemon that we'll be snagging on Citadark Isle. However, we are in for a tough fight ahead. Waken's team wasn't too terrible to deal with, although his team in terms of movesets was incredibly horrifying. What really made things difficult was that just like Snaddle, we don't get any chance to heal before Gonzap. His team is pretty terrifying, and since we're so low on health anyway, we got picked off real quick, especially because he's got a Vileplume with Giga Drain. It just healed way too much from each of us. Our second attempt was a lot better. We led off with Vaporeon and Sharpedo, as he led off with Electrode and Nuzleaf. Since Nuzleaf didn't have any grass moves, keeping it alive seemed like the best option as we focused down Electrode. We were thankfully able to take it down and damage his incoming Vileplume in the same turn before it could start healing too much from Giga Drain, although opting to heal from Sharpedo instead of Vaporeon was an odd choice. After Whiscash came out, Seal and Quagsire took care of the rest. His team kept on spamming Hyper Beam, which would normally be scary, but due to the constant recharging and the speed drops from Vaporeon's Icy Wind, it wasn't that bad. It's crazy how much harder a battle is when you can't heal beforehand.
Thanks, Captain Obvious.
Our rematch with Zook was night and day compared to the first time. Seal's Helping Hand, paired with Sharpedo's moveset and offensive prowess, led to OHKOing everything on his team. Expect me to use this combo a lot for the remainder of the run. Once we enter the Cypher Lair, we're actually able to get our 6th team member, which is the Shelder. Yes, it did take this long for us to finally get a full team of 6, and half of them are ice types. After rolling around like the speed of sound, we purified Shelder and immediately evolved it into Cloyster. I could have held off on evolving it until level 49 to learn Ice Beam, but I just don't have the patience for that. That's endgame stuff, and Aurora Beam should be fine anyway. At the end of the lair is Gorilla Man Gorrigan, who would absolutely have spent that $100,000 on that Harambe Cheeto. His team is centered around moves that hit everyone and then protecting on and off, so we needed to tread carefully with this one, especially since I remember always having issues with this fight growing up. Since he leads off with a Lairon and a Celio, him protecting with Lairon made way too much sense, so we attacked Celio, who almost got taken down as it retaliated with an Earthquake. He didn't protect on the following turn, but we took down Lairon and did some pretty minuscule damage to Celio and Slowking as it came out. Sharpedo got paralyzed by a Body Slam from Celio, but actually our Rough Skin ended up taking it out. Ursaring's out next, but it protected itself, and Slowking took down Sharpedo, but some Helping Hand boosted bites as Dugong hung on from a Brick Break on 1 HP. Yeah, try saying that 5 times fast. He sends out his Primeape next as we Icy Wind his team. Strangely enough, he decided to focus down Vaporeon even though Dugong was literally at death's door. The following turn resulted in some good damage, but Vaporeon and Dugong both got taken down, prompting us to send out Celio and Quagsire. Primeape was taken down with some Body Slams, but while Ursaring continued to do truckloads of damage, his Hypno came out and wasn't slowed down. This could have easily ended in us losing, but for some reason, his Hypno just always went for Shadow Down. I don't think it used Shadow Storm a single time in that match. After 2 grown men let a child drive a boat at high speeds to an island full of criminals with a volcano, we get our next team member, a Golduck, but it's most likely going to be swapped out for another Pokemon once we get to the top, although Waterfall on this is a very welcome addition. I'm glad to say that the second Lavrina fight wasn't nearly as close as the first time we battled her in terms of level caps, although the fact that her level cap was just 1 level away from Gorrigan's made me a little intimidated. Her team did have some things that could normally cause some issues, like her Roselia and her Gardevoir with Thunder Punch, but Sharpedo was able to outspeed and take out everything in one shot thanks to Helping Hand. We actually ended up using the same exact strategy as our first time battling her, where we kept her Gorebyss alive the entire time, since it didn't really have anything to really damage our team other than confusion. Once we get to the top of Citadark Isle, we have our rematch against Shake, Snaddle, and Roll. Dugong and Sharpedo did their typical Helping Hand combination as Metang went down, but Quagsire began to hit us with Mud Shot in an attempt to control the speed advantage. He sends out his Scizor as it takes down Sharpedo, but not before we almost take it out with a Water Pulse. Quagsire took down Dugong as we brought in Golduck to finish off Scizor. Snaddle then sends in his Shadow Soul Rock, but it was taken down pretty quick as Dugong got taken down. The big takeaway from this battle though is that he actually has, our next team member, a Shadow Starmie, who will absolutely be the best team member thanks to its insane stats and coverage. Not to mention, it also has a modest nature, which could not be more perfect. I also decided to use some rare candies I had lying around to evolve Celio into Walrein. It was kind of just taking up space, not being fully evolved, so hopefully Walrein can be of use to us. Spoiler alert, we did not use it the rest of the run. And awkward moment here, but OBS ultimately decided to just record the main menu for Dolphin for the Argos and Gorgon fights, so I'm just going to point out anything that was really important. Argos was not the most difficult battle, but his Shadow Swellow and Alakazam hit like trucks, so we lost to him on our first attempt. Our second attempt was a lot cleaner thanks to RNG being on our side. Gorilla Man Gorgon was also pretty easy as he maintained the same battle strategy as before, so we did the same. It's important to note that he does in fact have a Shadow Poliwrath on his team, so we caught it, purified it, and put it on the team, replacing Golduck. This is another Pokemon with Helping Hand in its moveset, and since it's a fighting type, Stab Brick Break may just be the answer we need for a specific Pokemon on the final boss's team. Eldest was actually incredibly easy. We decided to leave Ninjask alive because it was the least intimidating thing on his team, but we could have easily been in a worse position had it just been slightly intelligent and hit Sharpedo with Silver Wind. Yeah, he kinda just kept hitting Quagsire with it instead. We led off with Quagsire and Poliwrath and started incredibly strong with a Helping Hand boosted Earthquake to take down his Shadow Manectric. He sent out his Shadow Salamence next, and I swapped out Poliwrath for Dugong for some reason. We actually got incredibly lucky with a Paralysis on Salamence, which allowed us to take it down with an Ice Beam from Chicago? What is going on with me? Which allowed us to take it down with an Ice Beam from Sharpedo. From here, we kept up the offensive by only targeting anything not Ninjask, and thanks to Sharpedo's speed and power, we were able to knock out whoever Eldest sent out and deal some damage with Quagsire on its replacement. We also snagged our final team member for the run, which was a Lapras from this fight. Nevertheless, the end is so close, I can almost taste it. So, as you might expect, our final battle against Greevil was the biggest trial and tribulation we had come across. Not only is his entire team Shadow Pokemon, but he has 3 legendary birds and a Tauros, all of which are incredibly fast and hit incredibly hard. Now, clearly we're at a massive disadvantage here, so being strategic was more crucial than ever. Plan was to start off with Dugong and Starmie for the Helping Hand boosts, but I forgot to switch the team up from some last minute training and led with Sharpedo instead. On the bright side, half of his team, Rhydon, Moltres, and Exeggutor, are easy pickings. But it's once Tauros, Zapdos, and Articuno come out that we are fighting against a current. Throughout our attempts, we learned that his Shadow Tauros really prioritizes shedding up a Shadow. Oh my god. Throughout our attempts, we learned that his Shadow Tauros really prioritizes setting up the Shadow Sky, and sometimes it'll even waste its second turn going for Shadow Hold. That is our opportunity to do some crazy damage to it, but unfortunately, his Articuno and Zapdos are still way too fast, and they take out our Wincon, who's Starmie, in one hit. Our first attempt against Greevil started off pretty well. Sharpedo was able to outspeed Moltres and do some solid damage to it, as Dugong got taken down by a Shadow End and Shadow Fire. On the bright side, Shadow End will always cut the user's HP in half, but on the dark side, Rhydon is the one Pokemon I was least concerned about. Starmie was able to come in and tag team to take out a third of his team. I was feeling pretty confident here, however, he then sent out Exeggutor and Tauros next. I really fumbled the bag here. I decided to focus down Exeggutor initially, and we got a lucky freeze and a crit on it, but Tauros was still healthy. Articuno came out, and we lost Starmie and Sharpedo, putting us in a really bad spot. Those were our fastest attackers. All we had left were bulky supporters. Needless to say, we lost this one. For attempt number 2, I decided to try putting Lapras in the front to see if Helping Hand boosted Blizzard could put us in a better spot. No, it didn't. Lapras was one of the only Pokemon who could take multiple hits, so losing it this early was a really bad play on my part. A Surf from Dugong almost took out Moltres, but we were able to deal a ton of damage to Tauros by taking Moltres out and leaving Exeggutor alone. It did take out Dugong with a Shadow End, but it lost half of its health in the process. Since Tauros' main priority sets up the weather, we were able to bring Greevil to his final 2 Pokemon thanks to Ice Beam from Sharpedo and Brick Break from Poliwrath. But Zapdos and Articuno still outsped everything on my team. Attempt 2 failed. On the third attempt, we started off with Starmie like I had intended, since it was the answer for just about everything on Greevil's team aside from Tauros. Moltres went down in one shot, and Rhydon missed a Shadow End. Exeggutor went down in one hit, Rhydon missed a Shadow End. Tauros took a lot of damage from Waterfall, Rhydon missed a Shadow End. Could this be the run? Tauros went for a Shadow Hold, but then got taken down, letting us get some chip damage off on Articuno, but not much. Rhydon finally hit a Shadow End, but we had only lost one team member by this point, while Greevil and half of his team was left. And one was barely alive. Lapras came out to take down Rhydon with Blizzard, but we missed Articuno. That would not have done a lot of damage, but it still could have helped us dramatically. We had some really good RNG there, but attempt 3 failed too. We kept on going at Greevil for a while, and some attempts that looked to be successful were just so heartbreaking.
Wait, hold on. Come on, don't miss, don't miss. No, come on, that's what we needed. It missed both of them. It missed both of them, dude. Are you serious?
Thankfully, though, this did serve as a great training spot because we got some valuable experience here, and we were even able to level up enough to outspeed most of his Pokemon, which was crucial. On our final attempt, I was expecting the worst. We got an incredibly low damage roll on Helping Hand boosted Waterfall, which had never happened before, but somehow Moltres survived this time, causing Starmie to be taken down. We decided to send in Vaporeon to hopefully help with speed control, since that was the biggest hurdle we were constantly not getting over. Dugong outsped Vaporeon surprisingly, which actually allowed us to slow down Tauros and crit the Executor the minute they came out. That was crucial. Tauros still outsped as it set up the weather, but Dugong took out Executor with an Ice Beam, allowing us to slow down Tauros even more, but also the Articuno. Surprisingly, that -1 speed on Articuno was enough for Dugong to be the fastest one on the field, allowing Tauros to get taken down and causing Articuno and now Zapdos to be hit by Icy Wind. Vaporeon got taken down, but the remainder of his team was so slow that Sharpedo was able to come in and finish off Zapdos. Poliwrath, who was waiting in the wings, and Lapras can both take at least one Shadow Chill without crits, so victory was just in sight. After Zapdos was taken out, Lapras hit a massive critical hit on Blizzard, and we were successfully able to finish the battle with a Brick Break and Hydro Pump. What a match. If you enjoyed this video, YouTube seems to think that you'll enjoy this one over here. I'll be uploading more XD and Coliseum content, so if you're interested in that, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button for more content. That was a bad joke.